afternoon.
je suis une élève de Nathalie.
I'm a student of Nathalie. I'm over 50 years
Je
old.
suis blanche.
I'm white.
Mais ce qui va peut-être me sauver de
But
ceux qui
what
veulent
may
nous supprimer, c'est que je
save
suis
me
une
from
femme.
what people are trying to get rid of is the fact that I'm a woman and I am an
Avec,
entrepreneur.
Gonzague de Minière, on a
With
créé
Gonzague de
Raise,
Minière, we
une
created Raise,
société
which
qui
is a
réunit les grandes
company
réussites françaises.
that comprises
On
some of the
investit dans
great
les entreprises
French
de taille
success
moyenne.
stories. We invest
Puis notre
in
équipe,
French
on donne
medium-sized
50%
jobs,
de ce qu'on gagne
and
à une fondation
we
pour
owe
aider les jeunes
50%.
entrepreneurs.
We pay
Fait que
50%
j'ai
of
tous les
what
jours
we
la
earn
chance de
into a fund to help
rencontrer
young
des
entrepreneurs.
gens
So I meet young
qui créent
entrepreneurs every
et
day,
qui
people who are
inventent le monde de
creating
demain.
and who are inventing
Mais
the
c'est pas
world
de
of
ça dont je
tomorrow.
voudrais vous parler.
That's not what I really
Je
want to
voudrais vous parler
talk
d'un
to
petit
you about
garçon
this afternoon. I want to talk to
qui
you
a
about a
7
little
ans.
boy who's 7 years old.
Il sort de CP,
He's
il
just
sait pas
finished
lire.
first grade and he doesn't know how to read.
Pourtant, il aime bien l'école.
But he likes school,
Et puis, on lui fait faire un test.
and then
On voit qu'il
he
est
sits a
dyslexique,
test. He's
donc il va
dyslexic,
chez une orthophoniste.
so he goes to a
continue
speech
l'école.
therapist. He
Et
continues
puis, il sait
to
lire
go
des
to
mots
school, and he
compliqués
knows how to
comme
read complicated
éléphant,
words like
girafe,
elephant,
château
giraffe,
Mais il sait
or
pas lire les mots comme,
castle,
avant,
but he can't
après,
read a word like
qui sont
before,
des mots
after,
abstraits.
which are
Et puis, la
abstract words.
maîtresse
And the
se plaint
teacher complains
qu'il marche
that
pendant les cours.
he walks around during
s'assied sous la
class, he sits on the
qu'il écoute
table, on the desk, he's
Et
not
pourtant, à la
listening.
maison,
Yet at home,
c'est un enfant tout à fait
the
gai,
kid is very
sociable,
cheerful, sociable,
il
funny.
joue avec ses frères et
He
sœurs.
plays with his brothers and sisters.
Il n'a en apparence aucun
He
problème.
doesn't seem to have any problems.
Ce petit garçon,
The little
c'est un de
boy
mes enfants,
is one of my children,
mon fils.
my son.
Alors avec mon mari, on a pris
So
une
with my
décision
husband, we took a
qui était
decision,
de regarder ce qu'il aimait
which
faire
was to see what he liked to do. He
et
liked
il aimait
playing
chanter.
and he liked
Et plutôt
singing.
que de se dire qu'on
And
allait
instead of saying to
s'acharner sur lui à
ourselves that
l'école,
we would force
on
him
l'a fait rentrer dans une
to do
maîtrise
his lessons properly,
et il s'est mis à
we
chanter. Au moins,
gave him
on s'est
singing
dit, il
classes,
saura,
and at
il y a
least we
quelque
thought,
chose qu'il saura faire,
oh
qui
well,
sera bien.
at least there's something
Et
he'll
fera
know
qu'il a
how to do
confiance en
well,
lui.
and it'll give
Puis,
him
un
self-confidence.
jour,
And then one
la
day,
prof nous dit, est-ce que vous voulez bien lui
the
faire faire un
singing
test?
teacher said, would
Parce
you
que
enable
c'est pas
him
comme
to
ça
sit
que
a
je l'ai vu,
test? She didn't
mais
frame it that way,
c'est
but
comme ça que je l'ai compris.
that's how I
Je voudrais
understood
savoir
it.
s'il est
I'd like to
intelligent
know
ou s'il est
whether he's
stupide.
intelligent or
En fait,
stupid.
elle m'a demandé,
In fact,
elle voulait
she
savoir qu'est-ce qu'elle pouvait lui
wanted
demander,
to
qu'est-ce
know
qu'elle
what
pouvait
she
exiger de
could
lui.
ask of
Et
him.
puis on a découvert que c'était
And
un
we
enfant qui était
discovered
surdoué,
that he was
mais qui était
basically a genius,
surdoué pour les choses de la
but
connaissance,
extremely gifted for
moyennement doué pour
things related to
l'organisation.
knowledge, but not so good at organization.
À 21 ans,
Now he's
il a
21.
été professeur, il a enseigné à
He's
l'université,
taught at
il
university.
passe la grecque d'histoire.
He'll
très bien pour lui.
become a leading
De temps
professor
en
in
temps,
history. Everything will
Il
be fine.
continue de conjuguer les
Every
adjectifs
so
et de mettre des
often,
S au verbe.
he puts an S on a verb where
Et
he
pour préparer
shouldn't.
la
He
grecque,
conjugates an
il marche,
adjective,
il
and to
marche,
prepare
il
this
marche.
competitive examination, he
Pourquoi je
keeps
vous parle de
walking
lui?
around all over the
C'est
all
parce que
around
le
the
système
room.
scolaire en
Why do I
France,
talk about him?
c'est
It's
un
because the
système qui
school
est fait
system
pour,
in France
les parents, les
is
enfants de
designed
professeurs.
for the children
Enfants qui
of
savent rester
teachers,
assis sur une
children
chaise,
who can sit still on
qui
their
savent
seat,
écouter,
children who know how to
qui savent
listen,
apprendre les règles,
children who know how to
mais qui
learn
ne
the
vivent
rules,
pas
but
nécessairement
who do not
ce qu'il est nécessaire pour le monde d'aujourd'hui. C'est
Uh,
quoi le monde d'aujourd'hui? Le monde d'aujourd'hui, c'est d'abord un monde qui
learn
est
what
passé
the world of
process,
today's world
de
requires.
l'organisation,
We've moved from
d'une
process
société
and
où il
organization
fallait
to becoming a
reconstruire
society
l'après-guerre,
where you have
où
to
tout le monde
do
avait
something
besoin,
different. At the end of the war, we
d'accéder
needed to
aux
rebuild
besoins
society. People had
vitaux. Donc, on
to
a
have
construit
access
des
to
grosses
vital needs. So
entreprises,
people
on a
built
construit des
huge
process, des
companies. There were lots of
etc.
processes and
À aujourd'hui,
organizations
un monde
involved.
qui est celui
But
de la
now we live
connaissance.
in a world of
Tout le monde
knowledge.
parle de la big data.
Everyone talks
Mais
about
qu'est-ce que
big
c'est, la big
data.
data?
But what is big
La
data?
big data, on peut parler des données,
Big
de la
data,
façon
well,
dont,
people talk about
ça vous donne la
data.
puissance, etc.
This
La
gives
réalité
confers
de big
great
data,
power.
c'est
but
exactement comme si vous voyez
Big
un
data,
écran
it's
d'ordinateur
as though you
avec
saw a
des points
big
partout.
computer screen with
Et
dots
ces
all
points,
over the
ils bougent
place,
tout le temps.
and these dots are moving all the
Quand on
time.
a été éduqué comme moi
When
j'ai
you've been
été
educated
éduquée,
like I
on
was,
essaie de trouver une abscisse,
you
une
try to
ordonnée, comment on
find
va pouvoir l'organiser, comprendre l'ensemble,
a graph to sort things out, organize things properly with a view to doing something with all that. But that's not what today's world looks like, because these little dots move all over the place. Today's world, where I take a dot here, another one down here, and another one over there, and I'm going to use them. I'm not going to move them, but I'm going to use them for my own purpose. This is the world we currently live in. It's the world of creativity, the world of knowledge. We've moved from a middle-aged world where you built things that are really solid on pillars. We've moved on to something which is being broken down, is collapsing. We're trying to create a kind of scaffolding, yet now we've moved on to the Renaissance, where everything is open, everything is flat. It's not necessarily the big ones who win, even the small ones can win. This is the world of creativity and knowledge. In this world of creativity and knowledge, what do you have to teach your children? Of course, you have to give them the toolbox. You have to teach them to read, write, and count. But how should you do this? How can you ensure your children learn these basic things? Scientists have looked into the matter. They've conducted very sophisticated studies, but quite frankly, when you look at your kids, you think, well, maybe it's not necessary to go that far. The worst way of learning consists in what we're experiencing today. In other words, you were listening to me quietly sitting on your chair. That's fine, because you're in the dark. I can't see whether you're sleeping or not. I don't know whether you're listening to me or not, but I'm delivering my speech, and then I'll say, well, I hope there is something that they remember. Listening on a chair is the worst way to learn. The other way of learning, which is a bit less bad, consists in reading, taking notes, writing. But the best way to learn, you know what it is? It's that. It's to play. It's to live together. It's to try things out. It's to share things together. To share a subject, a project, to live an experience, and to see how together we can manage to find a solution and learn together. So it's through play. Why are games so successful today? It's because games are the key to learning. Why? Because learning is experience. You'll have noticed that when you learn a game, to start with, you don't really understand the rules, you make mistakes, you start again, but you don't have the impression that you've failed. You're learning. So why, at school, is it necessary to be right all the time? Learning means you fail the first time round, you do things again, you start all over again, and then finally you make progress and you learn and you grow. So the first thing that we need to relearn in terms of learning, we need to relearn how to play. The second thing, we have to give kids at school or even at university or in companies, you have to show people that we're all adults who still learn, but you can only help people to learn if things are meaningful. Why do I learn something? It's because I want to learn. If I don't know why, then why would I bother? Often I have said, well, why bother to learn this physics or chemistry lesson? It'll never help me in life. But if someone tells me this physics or this chemistry will enable you maybe to make candy, then I'll be more keen to learn. So things have to be playful and meaningful. Third point, which is essential. A positive approach, a kind approach. One day, I picked up a kid from school, and the teacher said he got 0 in dictation, but congratulate him. He's made a lot of progress, because in the past he had -35. And I thought, great, I finally got a teacher who understands my son. It wasn't the same son. I had lots of kids who didn't do well at school. So kindness, and kindness is not just kindness in terms of listening to others, it's economic kindness. If I help the other person, he comes to see me, he has a project. If I do this, it's because I also know that if he succeeds, he'll open up a new world. He himself will be able to create something which in some way will have a positive impact on me. So what distinguishes the human being from an animal? Well, it's hard to figure out what's different. Well, there is one feature. There's something which really is the difference. It's the ability to admire something in someone else as being different from what you have, and admiring things I don't know about the other person and things that that other person can give me so that I can also grow. Often there are coaches and teachers who say, I have learned far more than what I was supposed to teach to the other person. And then there's another thing I want to say about the way in which one should convey, transmit. The basis, in other words, for perhaps a revolutionizing school. We could see how young enterprises live, the kind of thing Gonzaga and I see every day. These young entrepreneurs who are full of passion and who want to change the world. What you note is joy, joy and laughter. Why do we laugh so little? Why do organizations, processes, when you work in a company, why do things necessarily have to be so serious? Because laughter and joy make it possible to dream. And I remember that when with Gonzague, we held our little in-house seminar to see what we were going to do with the foundation, this part that lives thanks to the profits we set aside from raise. Well, we started with very serious things. And then at a given point in time, we stopped and I said, well, tell us about what you dream about. If we could dream, what would the foundation look like? Well, the reality of life is that it's the dreams which finally were the most achievable things, the hidden ambition, what you really have deep within yourself, why you really want to do something. Well, that makes you succeed. It's the driving force that enables you to do great things, and it's dreams. So I'd like to finish by saying something very simple indeed. It comes from a German photographer who is one of the greatest photographers. I've forgotten the name. But she said something, and I find it very beautiful. I often mention this to young people who come to see me and who wonder about their future. In fact, when a young person comes to see you and asks about his future, you need to ask questions. He will no doubt have the answer, except he doesn't dare say these things to himself. In education, I think you have to always remember that you educate a young person, a child, so that person has the toolbox, but also so the person can be his or herself. And it's a wonderful sentence. I think we should share this. Our life may sometimes be difficult, but we can make it passionately interesting. I'm going to where I am, and I'm not what I am yet. So I finished like Nathalie Loiseau. I have stuck to my time, and that means that I am a good enough. Thank you very much.